What's going on, YouTube? The man, the myth, the ZX Predator teaming up with Reverend to Riches again for podcast number two. It's really late at night tonight, but hey, no time like the present. Uh, Getting all things set up here. The next one is gonna be live. That's kind of why I'm waiting on the next topic, but my brother over here got the fire burning. So let's get this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let's get this intro started. Oh, and I jumped the gun. My bad. I hit the wrong button. Hey, it's whatever. YOLO. Time to talk. Zack
It's
Snyder
organic,
podcast.
man.
Yeah, man. And plus, it's late. I'm like, oh, my bad. So, just so y'all know, I'm still working on a couple of things, but I did clear up the virus. So the shout out to Moto Mac. I do have some video of you guys. As he was leaving, I got video from Motorcycle Mo and Edison. So it'll be some good stuff. I had Vinny out there, Carmine. We had a good time. We had a good time. So, Mr. Reverend to Riches, what have you been up to?
Relaxing, man. I'm happy it's Friday.
Yeah.
Not working in the weekend, and definitely ready to get a conversation started and keep it going.
All right, all right. So with that said, uh, there's many faces to this, and I'm gonna try to scrub uh the real life situations that spark this conversation. So the topic is relations between the customer and the service bearer. More specifically, motorcycle shops, right? So
Right.
with this, in my years in dealing with, where I frequent mostly, and offshoots, I've gone to other spots because I go to different people for different things. Like Washington Cycles, they're the only one, the premier for me, that I'll take my bike to do my suspension tuning. If I'm getting, maintenance here and there, I'll go to Absolute Cycle in Rahway, New Jersey. Make sure you check them out. Um, when I went down, when my one of my uncles passed away a few years ago, and I went through my insurance because it happened in front of my house, and you know I was using Power Sports Metuchen Sport Honda in down South Jersey. Shout out to Mike Frazino. He was the one that worked on my bike and got Zeus up and running to like brand new OEM. He had Zeus looking like he did when I first bought the bike. So you know you have to find those spots that you can trust, that you have a good rapport with, that are predictable, like their flow and so on and so forth. And also, too, folks have to invoke calm when it comes to dealing with customer relations. So, Geo, when his bike was getting repaired and whatnot, I'm pretty sure, and I was on the outside looking in before I give him a chance to speak on it, where he was waiting for his bike, between Carpenter, Absolute Cycle, so on and so forth. I always say if you're working on anyone's bike, and this is not a critique to anybody or a praise, this is very general. Anytime you have someone's bike, it's best to communicate. It is so important. It will avert so many problems with, like, if you let people's mind wander, negative thoughts are gonna pop into their head, and then they're gonna start blowing up your phone, or like, where's my bike, and this, that, and the third, and all kinds of crazy stuff. And it just, when it comes to their bikes, people get very like touchy, and we gotta recognize that a lot of the shops are busy, and especially if they're understaffed or it's independently owned. You know, yeah, communication is key, especially if your bike has been there for some time. But Gio, when you were dealing with wait times and just interactions with different locations that you've been working with, like from experience and then and witnessing things, what are your thoughts on how you know owners of facilities and customers, how do you think they should conduct themselves when doing business if things are going awry?
I think they should be very patient. Listen, I'm not gonna lie, I was really frustrated, waiting for my bike. Honestly, not to badge on nobody, but there was short to little with none communication
Hmm.
here and there, and it was really frustrating. I was getting really antsy because it was around this season when everybody was riding, and I'm like, God, when I'm gonna get my bike back? Like, I would like to get in a ride or two at least before the season finishes. And unfortunately, when the weather wasn't so hot, I was able to finally ride my bike. But I would say you have to be really, really patient. And tell you the truth, I'm a kind of person that I'm really short on patience.
Hmm.
But man, that I had to pull this one out the bag and just hold it because I I didn't want to have it no other way. I didn't want to be rude. I didn't want to be disrespectful. I didn't want to be bothering nobody, even though it was my bike and I was entitled to ask questions and push forward because also it was my money being invested into this.
Hmm.
Um, I really held back and I was patient. I was patient even with the minimal communication that existed between me and the shops.
Hmm.
It did get a few um, uh, how do you say not advice. I had a few updates
Hmm.
on the bike. This is being done. This is in progress. You're looking around this time or this time, but it was always an estimate. It wasn't never
Yeah.
sure.
Right.
So
Right.
I kind of wrapped that idea around my head that what, even though I'm getting a date, it's estimated. It's not for sure.
Hmm.
I need to be patient and I need to wait, even though I was still kind of asking questions week by week, visiting the shop and trying to find out updates. Even when I was around the shop, at times I would just come around just to hang out, man. Like I said, I didn't want to bother nobody, and I wouldn't even ask questions about my bike. Maybe I would get in or a word or two with the mechanics afterwards, and I would ask them, listen, any updates on the bike? When they had a time to breathe and kind of ease off their work a little bit, and I would get a few updates here and there. But
Hmm.
I was really patient, man. Like, you gotta have patience. I mean, if it's something that's mechanical and it's your engine and it's anything that it's not fairings or change of brakes or oil change or anything like that, it's you really have to be patient.
Hmm. And I do want to add that you know, again, the communication piece is key from shop to customer. Like updates, just hey, to hear where we are. Don't ever be afraid of a response, because I think that also puts us in hot water because now you allow for the customer to start getting irritated, inflamed, and
Right.
starting to, do stuff. But at the same time, too, customers need to check themselves. Check yourself because independently owned shops don't deserve to be berated and coming in there threatening people and so on and so forth. Again, this is generally speaking because you won't see that at a motorcycle mall. You won't see that at Extreme Machines. You won't see that at Metuchen Cross Country or Sport Honda. Somebody
That is so
come,
true.
you walk up in there like, oh, you have X amount of time. Like, then, if anything, I always say, organization, uh, book, set up appointments, things like that, and just have like sign a contract. Like, hey, look, you're gonna work on your machine. This may, the estimate time is here, but if you gotta wait on parts and so on and so forth, especially now at post COVID, well, post virus time frame, because YouTube is really funny when you talk about it. But things like, supply chain stuff was disrupted. Things aren't moving as fast as they used to. So I was telling Gio in conversations that we had, revving to riches will rev when the time is right.
Yeah.
So you never know. You got people who go and kicking in doors. I want my bike. I want my bike. And maybe it's a sign to protect you. Maybe you might be out on the road and something happens. You know, and I think
Yeah,
that
God forbid.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. It's just always try to flip the negative thinking and say, hey, you know what? At least when I get the bike back, it's gonna be running right. And one thing, the folks that I've worked with, I only have a few, and I trust them with my machine. But my main source, I never rush. I pay what's supposed to be paid. And I just know that the peace of mind. And Gio could tell you, I'd rather things be done right than done fast. Because you don't want to rush or skimp, or like I want it just to get it type of thing. So it's doing better on both sides, where time management, communication, and patience. Those are the three ingredients. The patience for the customer, maintaining your bearing as a person, as an adult. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're ready to threaten somebody and go over a counter and all that stuff, because now you put your hands on somebody, you're going to jail, and then you ain't riding no more for that season. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
and then what's the point? Like, there's no benefit to that.
Right,
The way I see it, like, we're adults. Even if it's a younger person, there's no factor on that.
right,
Nobody wins. Everybody loses, and
right, right, right.
it's not the right way to go about it. You know.
Correct, correct. So
I
I
mean,
get
people should really get around to knowing that if they want a fast and cheap job, it will not be done correctly.
mm,
Fast and cheap will never be done correctly.
no, no, never, 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 never. It just I look at, if somebody's taking longer to work on my machine, it's a QA/QC thing, because I know I could close my eyes and say, hey, that bike was gone through like a fine tooth comb, and that they took their due diligence.
Right.
That's how I say, it's like I've been in that position a couple of times, and I was just like, ooh, woosah, just breathe. I get it. I understand. It's not easy to be running an establishment, or whether it be a dealer, independent, or whatever. It's man, from the outside looking in, I get it, and people need to recognize that as well. As paying customers, though, as they say, customers always right. Um, yeah, you have the right to ask for updates on your machine. You have the right to say, hey, you know what? Could we work on a time frame? You know, but also too, and some may not agree with it. The what you don't have the right to do is be an a hole, because it's just making things worse. And
Right.
I look at it like, especially now, as we're still kind of in preseason. Um, but people are trying to rush to get their bikes in for maintenance and service. So you got to understand, like the Lincoln, the Holland, the GW, all those bottlenecks for so much activity to go down. It's things are gonna be a bit slower. And Gio, remember what I said? The reason why I sent my bike to Carpenter during the winter, so that it's a little empty. Who
Correct.
who would be ill advised to send a bike for major work during season, when everybody and their mama got stuff going on? You're gonna have an increase of oil
Yeah, I mean,
changes, tire
right.
changes, and all that.
especially when we get that itch as riders, like, oh, I want to ride,
Right, 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 right. So I mean, I'm just saying. I think that just always have a cool head. Always have a cool head on both sides, and that will really go a long way. You know, and that's just being fair and impartial, just across the board. I rather, if I was working on something for somebody, I would have updates, or you know, I, I've helped people out of the goodness of my heart. Never took. Sometimes I didn't even take pay. You know, but as also too, if you don't leave a deposit, or you don't, you just drop your stuff off and expecting things to get worked on, you can't take advantage of somebody's kindness. And most business owners would take of like what 25% or 50% down payment, and you gotta get stuff done. You know what I mean? And if you take a deposit, you have to prioritize that person. You have to make them a priority. End of story. Sorry, that's just how it is. That's
Yeah, no,
business. But I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say on that particular topic. We could potentially segue into another one, but I'm kind of fearful. But I'm just we'll see. But Gio, on that note, what are your final thoughts on that?
I would say that I mean, also, yeah, level headed, and for the customer to be patient, because even me putting down the down payment deposit when my bike was getting worked on, I was still so patient.
Yep.
Because like I said, I didn't want to be rude, I didn't want to be disrespectful, and that's just the person I am. I mean, I think every other person should be the same way.
Well, we're
But
all
also,
different. We're all different. I learned that earlier this week. Yeah, that not
but also
everybody.
with time, if communication was there at some point, it got cut off.
Mhm.
I'm not giving the rights for the customer to actually show up and smash the owner of the shop, calling them out names and being an ass. But a simple trying to, I would like to busy with too much work or what's going on because you're not answering my calls. I mean, I think that would be the best way to go about it.
Mhm.
And if the shops do have partnerships with other personnel that are actually going to be working on the bikes, it should be mainly very strong communication between them as well.
Mhm.
I customer and he's paying for something, then they should see it. Not leave him lingering unhappy and trying to wander around, because that will only bring about foolishness and I mean nobody needs that. Not the shop owner,
Mhm. Yeah.
So I think besides patient and the shop owners being around personnels or whatever, it should be an even stronger communication so that work can go accordingly to a plan that was taken from the beginning.
Right. 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 All right. So I guess for that topic in closing, um, there's just advice, from customers, from having friends who run establishments. Like you don't want to see anybody getting up or anything. So um,
Right.
yeah. But I do want to thank Reverend Sir Riches to doing this impromptu uh 1 a.m. recording. But
Yeah, yeah. When we have to be up early
yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah, I gotta
But
bring
yeah,
up.
anytime, brother.
Yeah,
Anytime.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do a break on this one, and then I'm gonna check, make sure everything is running well, and that other topic that you kind of check out my brother Reverend to Riches, his budding. The next one's probably gonna be live. And upload it, because